What's up, guys? Welcome to the Peer Review Podcast. My name is Caleb Davis, and I have news. Before we get started today, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And also, make sure to follow us on X at peerreview_pod and on TikTok at Peer Review Podcast. So, Shams just announced that the Lakers and Nets made a deal to send DFS to the Lakers and D'Lo back to the Nets. And just for starters, I think this trade is a little funny because this is the second time D'Lo has been traded by the Lakers to the Nets. It's just a continuous cycle for him. But as far as the trade details, the Lakers received Dorian Finney-Smith and Shake Milton. And the Nets received D'Angelo Russell, Maxwell Lewis, and 3 second-round picks. Now, from the Lakers' perspective on this trade, I think it's a really, really, really good move. And it's one that fans and media have been clamoring about for almost the entire LeBron and AD Lakers tenure outside of after the bubble championship once they started to progress downhill. But as far as Dorian Finney-Smith's impact, he's just a versatile defender. He can play the 3-4, and he was playing sometimes like a small ball 5 for the Nets. But at 6'7", DFS, he just provides the Lakers with a much needed addition of defensive versatility that they just didn't have. His ability to guard position, he can guard. In the past, he was able to guard guards, but as he's aged a little bit, his defense has regressed slightly, but he's still a good perimeter defender, and he can guard forwards and even small ball 5. So it just adds another look to this team, which has been, especially that forward position, has been a critical position for the Lakers, especially in the jam-packed West as things have currently stood. And as far as his offensive game, he's an improved shooter this season, shooting a career high of 43.5% from 3. It's a career tying 5.4 attempts per game. And he's traditioned himself over the years from a D&3 player to more of a 3-and-D player, which meaning he adds more offensive value to that side of the ball, which perfectly complements what the Lakers are kind of looking for, because they had guys like Vando who were very good defenders but weren't very good off-ball offensive players. Dorian Finney-Smith is a good defender who can also just slot really well next to LeBron and AD, whether you play him at the 3 and keep LeBron at the 4, however you make it work. It's just another defender out there, more size and a better athlete alongside those guys. And I just think he fills a critical void for the Lakers, because for the past 3 seasons, they've really lacked a wing defender that is also a plus offensive player outside of LeBron. And at age 40, and even in prior years, LeBron, obviously, he doesn't have the motor to be able to be your top-tier perimeter defender every single night and your best athlete on the floor. So it just allows him to expend his energy a little better, and it just gives them another backbone for their defense and a top-tier, because he's one of those top-tier perimeter defenders in the league. And real quick, they also acquired Shake Milton. I don't think his role is going to be as important, but he just adds backcourt depth for the Lakers. He's a solid scoring guard, and he's a solid ball handler, and he'll just provide offense off the bench. And he's usually known for his scoring burst, so because he's pretty solid, pretty shifty, and I think he'll just be able to stabilize units, especially with Gabe Vincent going out with that abdominal injury last game. They're going to need some more guard play, so I think he helps fit with them. But why this trade matters, in my opinion, I think it addresses some long-standing issues that have remained consistent with the Lakers, as I keep mentioning, but it addresses the roster weaknesses, well, part of it, because the Lakers have had athleticism issues, they've had wing depth issues, they've had perimeter defensive issues, and this finally helps to address those needs, and it's a fan demand that's been fulfilled, because if you go on Lakers Twitter or any of the Lakers Instagrams, any of their beat writers, reporters, you see all through their comments, people requesting trades for a guy like Dorian Finney-Smith. And he kind of perfectly fits that mold of a wing that can defend, shoot, provides energy, because he's a energy guy. He'll hustle, he'll go for it, crash the glass. He just is what the Lakers have needed for so long. Now, I kind of think there's a couple implications with this trade, because I think it symbolizes a few things. I think, for one, it shows a shift in Lakers management approach, because for the past 2 to 3 seasons, Rob Pelinka and the Lakers front office, they've been criticized for their indecision and failing to commit to actually improving this roster, which rightfully so. They have done a bad job adding talent to this team. And I think this trade just symbolizes a step in the right direction. Whether or not you believe that is late or too late in the process, that's to be determined. But Lakers finally make a move to address some of their glaring weaknesses. And while I don't think this trade makes the Lakers an instant favorite or anything like that in the West, it definitely strengthens the roster, and it's a step in the right direction towards contention in the jam-packed Western Conference. And then one other keynote that I hope doesn't go undermined in this trade process was that the Lakers were able to retain their 3 first-round picks, so leaving them flexibility because they have the contracts as well to make a bigger move a little closer to the deadline. What's next for the Lakers? I still see a possibility because I think Walker Kessler would be a great addition for them. Some type of trade package where to make the salaries work as well, you bring in like Walker Kessler and Colin Sexton, and you send out, I don't know, Gabe Vincent, Jarrett Vanderbilt, and like 2 of those picks. You figure out the ways to make the money and contracts, things like that work. But the Jazz aren't really looking for players right now. They're looking for draft compensation. So I'm not sure how likely that is, but that's just something off the top of my head. They could also pivot, and just guys like Robert Williams, they could figure something out. But they have the point is that they have assets to make additional moves. And I think they're just building momentum because this trade is a solid foundation for further improvements, and it just strengthens them a bit because they've been depleted with injuries as well, and it adds another body and a guy that fits along their star core. And then real quick, on the Nets front, they're a team trying to tank, so it makes sense for them to be getting rid of these good role players and getting draft compensation for them. I think they waited a year or two too long to trade Dorian Finney-Smith. Like, I think a year or two ago, his trade value, he was going for like a first or 2 firsts, and they held out, which was bad for them, but good for the Lakers at this point because you get a solid 3-and-D defender for 3 second-round picks, essentially, because D'Lo is an expiring contract who's not performing this year, and you're not losing out on much value, and I think this makes the team better. But the Nets, they've moved on from Schroeder, now DFS, and I wonder if Cam Johnson is going to get moved eventually. I don't know where he goes, but I know his name has been a big rumored name around the league. And then a report just came out that D'Lo will likely be bought out, and just off the top of my head, I think a team that would be good for him is like the Magic, because they need offense, especially with their stars being injured, and just bench guard play. So I think he could come in and help their situation a bit. But my final thoughts and my final takeaways from this trade, it was long overdue that the Lakers make a move to add defense, athleticism, size, and shooting to this roster all in one player. And they finally addressed it, and I hope Rob Pelinka continues to address the team's weaknesses. And again, while this roster isn't championship ready yet, this move is their move for Dorian Finney-Smith and Shake Milton is a move in the right direction. And it just gives hope that maybe some things can turn around as the season progresses. And it shows that the Lakers are trying to compete during LeBron's final year or two. I just hope it's not too late. But that's all I have for today. Thank you all so much for tuning into the Peer Review Podcast. And please make sure to share the podcast with your friends and family, as well as follow us on X at peerreview_pod and on TikTok at Peer Review Podcast to stay up to date with our latest episodes and releases. This is the Peer Review, signing off.